Hey everybody, welcome to our Logos live stream here talking about our newest libraries that we have published and released. These are our denominational libraries. Thank you so much for joining us. Please go ahead and type in the comment, as this is going to be a conversation on denominational libraries. We would love for you to share with us which Christian tradition or denomination you most associate with. Whether that is Baptist or Anglican or Lutheran, let us know what sort of tradition that you align with. And our purpose today is to inform you about these libraries that are coming to you from Logos. And my name is Kirk Miller. If you don't know me, I have been using Logos since 2010, which I think means I've been using it for about 15 years. And I'm a hardcore user and advocate of Logos, and I work here at Logos as the editor of the Word by Word blog. And I am joined today by Mitch. And Mitch is an expert in the Logos library, so I'm so glad to have him with us. Mitch, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us how long you have been with Logos, as well as using Logos yourself.
Yeah, so I've been with the company now. It's coming on 7 years. Spent the first four in the sales department, helping people, find the right fit with the libraries. And then in the last couple of years, I've been managing over the products team that helps curate these libraries, as well as a bunch of other fantastic projects that we do around here. But I've been, like I said, about 7 years with the company.
So one thing we're going to be doing during this conversation is we're going to be answering some of your questions that you provide to us live here. And so as we talk about these libraries, if you have questions that come up, or even if you have questions right now, go ahead and put those questions in the chat. And then as we have time at the end of the live stream, we will respond to some of the most common questions. And so we are excited to talk about these libraries. But let's begin. For a person who is newer to Logos, first, what is a denominational library as opposed to our standard libraries? We talked about those in our last video, the standard libraries. What makes the denominational libraries different?
Yeah, so I would describe our standard library as it's a general reference library. So it's got a little bit of everything across the board, not necessarily denomination, but product type. Where the denomination libraries really start to come in is we really try to hone in on the products that we have available that speak from a specific viewpoint. Not every resource is going to be, for instance, I see Reformed or Baptist in the chat there. Not 100% of the resources are going to be from a specific viewpoint, but we are going to try and get as many content pieces within that library from the denominational viewpoint to speak to those sort of things as you're studying.
Yeah, yeah. And so the standard ones, they're not going to be unique to a specific, obviously you'll have different theological positions reflected in those resources, but the library is not going to be curated to tailor to a specific tradition. Whereas the denominational libraries, I know some users, they really do want to purchase a library that fits their own theological perspective. This is sort of the opportunity to do that. So what perks are involved in owning a library, but then more specifically, a denominational library?
Yeah, so I think you said it well there with the fact that it's curated specifically to a specific point of view. It helps you, whether that's some of your favorite authors, you're going to see deeper representation from them, or church history specific to your denomination that you're aligned with. You're going to see a lot of content that's geared specifically towards that, as well as these books are all designed to work with the Logos software, with the subscription, to really empower you in your searching and in your study, to provide you with the best content available to what you're looking to study from your point of view.
Yeah, and the libraries in general, denominational or otherwise, are a great way to build your library affordably. So with all these resources bundled together, yes, it is. In most cases, there is a cost, a significant cost to making that purchase. But on the whole, the price is per book, per resource. You can even see it'll provide on each of their pages. It'll provide you the total savings. The savings they are profound. And so it is a very effective way, financially effective way to build your library. And if,
We
for
aim to
instance, go
90%
ahead.
of print with those libraries. You're saving 90% off of a sticker price when it comes to the books. Uh, it is the single best way to grow your library and at the best possible price.
Yeah, and if you've purchased them before, include the dynamic pricing, and it can be incredibly affordable. And with the denominational libraries, in many of these cases here, if you are selecting, like, say, the Reformed library, it will oftentimes include those commentaries that are unique to the Reformed tradition, and those texts from the tradition's history, maybe the Puritans or the Reformers, and systematic theologies from that tradition. So it's a great way to build up resources that maybe you find more trustworthy, giving your own theological commitments.
Yeah,
And so,
and
go ahead.
with that dynamic pricing too, like you said, I would say that the majority of people that buy a library, they don't necessarily buy a specific denomination from the start. I always encourage, again, I was in sales for many years. I always encourage my customers, the best place to start to lay that solid foundation is a standard line, but layering in other content from your point of view, from your denomination is so valuable. And because you're not going to be charged a second time, after you make those initial purchases, you really start to see these
Mhm.
denomination packages really can add great content, even lower price than just sticker price.
Yeah. So, which of our denominational libraries are the most popular among our users? Unfortunately, we can't talk about every denominational library today, but which ones are some of the most popular?
Yeah, we'd be here for a while if we wanted to talk about all of them in depth. But when you look at the primary ones when it comes to terms of sales, over the last, we've had these denomination packages for many versions now. And when we look back historically, we'll see that by both in terms of the number of units sold as well as revenue and people purchasing, you're going to see that the Reformed, Baptist, and Charismatic are by far the most popular. The Messianic line is coming up as it's newer, so you'll see that
Hmm.
one continue to be more and more highlighted. But by far, the three most popular are the Reformed, Baptist, and Charismatic.
And Mitch, if we can go ahead and share your screen too, we are
Yeah,
going to be showing the comparison page where you are able to go on our website and take a look at the different denominational libraries, including the standard ones too, but today the denominational libraries. We actually have a link in the video description too, if you are looking to locate this page for yourself, and I would encourage you to take a look. So let's begin with the Reformed Library. What
sure.
is the 2025 Reformed Library, and who is it curated to help?
Really, again, when we look at the various, as you said, we have a whole, there are several different denominations that we can choose from. I just want to take a quick second before we move on, just to showcase all of them in one screenshot. You can
Yeah,
see we
let's do that.
have packages from a variety of different perspectives. So we will find ways to try and find you resources that are geared towards you. But if we were to look specifically, like you say, at say the Reformed Gold, well, actually, I'm going to throw all three of the ones that we're going to talk about just to also show how this compare page works. So all I'm doing
Good
is I'm
idea.
choosing the Reformed Gold. We'll go over here to the Baptist Gold. We'll select that. And then we'll also go for the where alphabetical. There we go. Charismatic Gold. So I'm going to pick those three libraries. The nice thing is you can compare that against a variety of different tracks all at once, even your standard line as well. So again, I'm picking those three libraries, and all I'm going to do is kind of push compare. And so you'll see here immediately all of the resources for those three libraries are going to show up. I really recommend, if you want just a brief overview, to keep these different categories collapsed, but it's very easy. All you have to do is push collapse all right here, and you'll see, or expand all, and you'll see every book available. Just to help people understand how to read this, if you see a dot, it means it's included in that. You'll see the sum totals, but you'll see, for instance, you look at the Legacy Standard Bible, you'll see that in the Baptist and the Reformed, but not the Charismatic. So that's how you would read this chart. When we're looking at that Reformed package, you're going to see this is really geared towards people from that strong traditional Reformed background. As you mentioned, they have content that's geared towards that specific denomination. Probably obviously one of the most broadly used packages because it's the foundation of so many of the different people that are studied. But you'll see here that you're going to see key commentary sets. You're going to have key resources that are the Reformed expository Bible studies. Again, very strong Reformation teaching geared towards a Reformed theological standpoint to allow you to get the content and the study specifically for um, the people you want to hear from, the Reformed tradition, the past, that past history coming through as you study today. So you'll see a strong example of commentaries and materials from that.
And one of the things that I've noticed is, I mean, the denominational libraries do include technical commentaries and things like that as well. But oftentimes, the denominational libraries will include maybe more expository commentaries, and like the Reformed Expository series, the ESV commentary series that you have there, the expository one. I love that series; it's great. A little bit of an easier to use commentary series for pastors, maybe not as granular and detailed, so it's a little bit more manageable. Focus on the Bible is another one that's included in this series. But this is a great way then to get commentaries that are uniquely from your theological convictions, as well as I think the denominational libraries are a great way to build up your theological resources outside of just biblical studies, but like systematic theologies and things like that, monographs and such.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah. So what goes into making the denominational library, like the Reformed here, then different than some of the other traditions as well as the standard? Like what things would you want to emphasize as making it unique?
Yeah, again, I think you call out several of them. Again, looking at this gold as an example, like we have so many different libraries that we could get lost in the weeds and talk about all the nuances. But at a high level overview, when we go about curating these libraries, we're going to go and we're going to take a look at the content from the perspective of the authors, understanding where they come from within the theological spectrum to help understand and inform us as we include that. So when we're taking a look at whether it's a monograph, whether it's a commentary series as a whole, commentaries are unique because not necessarily, although some exposed here, like the Reformation, the Reformed Expository Bible series, or something like that, or the things of that nature obviously have reformed in the name, so it cheats a little bit, but not every commentary comes with an authorship that's from one perspective. But when we start to sit back and understand and evaluate materials to be included, we try to look
Mm-hmm.
at a viewpoint from a broader, higher viewpoint to say, as a whole, where does this set come from? And if the majority of authors come from a specific tradition, you'll typically see those included in a denomination package. But because there is so much overlap at times, I think Reformed and Baptist, you see quite a bit of that. In fact, I think I even saw in chat that somebody would view themselves as, from a Reformed Baptist. There's a lot of overlap.
Mm.
So you might see the same set in multiple denominations, but that again is made at a informed and specific choice to make sure that we're including the resources that are important to that viewpoint from that tradition.
Yeah, the ESV commentary there, for instance, I don't think it has reformed in the name, but the contributors there are generally from a more reformed persuasion. So it's providing those resources then. Well,
Yeah,
and then the other thing to keep in mind, we're just looking at the gold, just like in the standard, you have starter all the way up. You have these different tiers. So with these denominational libraries, it's not just gold. You have silver, you
correct.
have bronze, and so forth. And so there's a variety of tiers that you can look at. But let's move to the Baptist. The Baptist library is popular for what sort of Logos user?
Again, you're going to really start to see this for. I always describe the gold library as the best level for people that are really looking to do either ministry. So pastors, that's kind of like the starting level for pastors. People that are passionate about their Bible study, those are the people that are doing it all the time, as well as people that are in ministry, small group leaders, people that are helping lead conversations. So our gold is probably by far across all of the different denominations and our standard line. The gold level library is our most popular because it offers just such a great overview of materials. And so that would be where I would say this is like the beginning level for pastors. This is kind of the mid to upper level for people that are doing it for their own personal studies, and then also people that are in some strong ministry needs, small group discussions, things of that nature. With the new Bible study builder tool that we produce with this subscription, you'll see a lot of content drawn from this sort of level for that.
Yeah. And what users would be inclined to this particular library? What sort of resources are jumping out to you for this specific library?
Again, I love gold for commentaries. This is where I really like to see people approach, because that's where you get some fantastic commentary sets. I mean, the library themselves are the entire library is often less than the entire price of a single commentary set that it's
Right.
included, for instance, right? So this is when we say it's the best bang for your buck. This is true for a variety of reasons, but you'll see here, like the New Covenant commentary set is a fantastic series of commentaries. The New American, which I highlighted below,
Hmm.
is one I personally go to quite a bit. The Opening Up commentary series, again, those are three commentary series that you list right there, just in those three products that are valued at $1,200, $1,400, and you get all of them within the price of a gold library. So a
Yeah, I
person that
believe.
relies on their commentaries from again that Baptist perspective, you're going to really enjoy this sort of a level of library.
Yep. And then the Christ-centered expositional series that has a lot of Baptist contributors. God's Word for You, I really like. It's not an academic commentary. It's more practical, but even from a standpoint of a preacher, I have found that commentary to be incredibly valuable. And then the other thing, as we've mentioned, is these denominational libraries will oftentimes feature the collections of different key figures from the tradition. So the Spurgeon sermon upgrade is in here, and you have different resources from some of your favorite Baptists if you are a Baptist. So you can rely on those things as well.
Yeah, you'll see a lot. Again, that's where the denomination packages are unique. You'll see a lot more sermon collections. You'll see a lot more preaching tools. Again, all designed to help kind of within that traditional viewpoint.
All right, now let's move to the Charismatic Library.
Yeah.
This is another one of our popular libraries, as you said. Sort of what makes this library popular and distinct among the denominational libraries?
Yeah, and for those of you that have been with us for a while, you'll see that there's a slight name change to a couple of our libraries, because we've tried to make it a little bit more reaching across a variety of different perspectives. So, again, this is going to come from perspective that's maybe a little bit more. We used to call it Pentecostal and charismatic. When you hear those words, usually there's a response to it. So we tried to make it so it's a little bit more approachable and understandable. But these are going to be a lot more application based, a little bit more. What does it mean for today versus what is the maybe the historic expository approach to it? Again, as that is the need and the want of the denominational viewpoint, is to be a little bit more application. So you'll see a lot of the materials that are going to be designed to what does it mean for today, and that's why a lot of people really seem to appreciate the charismatic lines, as to get that content that really helps them apply the message directly to their lives.
Great. And maybe as we kind of pull things towards a close here, which library should I choose now if I am a Logos subscriber? If I'm looking at the different libraries, standard and denominational, what are some things you could maybe help us with as we
Yeah,
make that decision?
again, when you look at the comparison page and you see there's dozens, there's hundreds of libraries, where do you go? What do you do? I do think a lot of it does have to do with the decision of what you're going to do when it comes to your subscription. So you'll see that we have our different subscriptions here that really range towards specific viewpoints and what and needs of what you're doing. But I would say, if I were to do a quick kind of summary elevator pitch idea, you're going to see that most our premium person, all right, this is designed for the person that's doing small group ministry, the person that's doing personal Bible study. You'll see that typically somebody that's subscribing to that level is going to go towards that silver level of library. That's where we've kind of curated the materials to say that's the best kind of approach for them. I also mentioned gold is probably very common as well, because of the materials, the commentaries that are included there. So those would be kind of the two recommendations for somebody that's a premium subscriber. Pro, again, as it's described there, it's perfect for pastors and sermon preparation. So this is really where they're going to want to have great content to pull from for sermon preparation, commentaries, sermon outlines, other, like you said, key figures, their sermons in the past that they can pull from. So you'll see majority of people that are looking to buy for the pro level like to go towards the gold or platinum range. And then the max is really about language study. It's really about that person that wants to dive deep and really start to pull and tear and dig and go below the surface of more than just a surface level kind of conversation. So again, those libraries are really designed to be somewhere in that platinum and diamond is where our most common usage is for somebody that's on a max subscription.
Yeah, and I will say too, if you are not yet a subscriber, so like as in the past when we've sold our upgraded packages, that has included features and a library. And so even now we have the subscription, and then once you're subscribed, you're eligible for a library. So if you're not yet subscribed, you might be eligible for a free month subscription. If you click the choose your plan on that compare page, you can explore those subscriptions and see if you're eligible for a free trial. At this point, we're going to try to take some questions from the chat. And the first question that I've been provided here is that there seems to be few contemporary Wesleyan, Arminian Methodist authors. It seems the majority of the resources are from the 1800s. Would you be able to comment on maybe the reason this is?
Yes, it's a nuanced question, and I understand where you're coming from with it. Some of this has to do with at the simplest level, negotiations with publishers. There are conversations that we have to have with publishers. Some publishers really see the value of what we do here at Logos and want to work with us and include things in their packages. Other denominational viewpoints, the publishing houses maybe don't quite fully understand, and so we have some limitations when it comes to what we can include when things of that. So I always recommend people that if they say, "Hey, I really want something from that Wesleyan perspective, or the Nazarene Press, or something of that nature," to contact them and say, "Hey, Logos user, I'd love to see your content more highlighted within the platform." But that is an element of it. Is there just simply contractual limitations that we are able to include things? We are always, though, I can confidently tell you this, as this is what my team does every day, is we're seeking to find other ways to include content, to find other publishing houses, to continue to work and develop those relationships so that we can continue those conversations and include new content at all times.
And then one other question that occurred is the Reformed Library going to include more King James resources? I'm not entirely sure what is meant by King James resources. Maybe resources on the King James, about the King James, or maybe like using the King James.
I would read that as is typically using more of King James, or coming more from the traditional viewpoint of a Reformation church viewpoint. That's how I would interpret the question. That's somebody that wants to do something more, expository in depth from the specific denominational viewpoint. I would say it is another nuanced question. That yes, there's a lot to study from when it comes to that. I wouldn't say it's only King James, but it would be a much more traditional Reformed viewpoint. So that's how I would view it, as it is going to be coming from a more traditional stance when it comes from the Reformed background.
Okay, and then another question here is, can you use both Verbum and Logos libraries in the desktop software? And maybe they mean combined as well
Yeah,
under one
great
account.
question. Yeah, obviously Verbum is our Catholic line, Logos is a Protestant line. We have libraries for both Verbum and Logos. And the nice part about this is all of our software, anything that you buy off of logos.com, is designed to integrate directly to your software. So you may have the Logos software and see some great things from a Verbum package that you go, wow, maybe I want to know more what the church fathers had to say about something. And you could actually buy a Verbum package and see it directly plug into your Logos software without any problems. So everything that you buy from our website is designed to work with the software. And that's where, again, you really have the opportunity to grow your library and expand your resources to study more and more.
Great. Well, thank you, everyone who has joined us for this. We hope that you found this information helpful and informative. Be sure to click into the link in the video description to compare the libraries and find the right one for you. And if you want any sort of personalized support, we're always here to help. You can reach out to the Logos team through any of our support channels. You can go to logos.com/contact to find those. But again, thank you so much for joining us. And Mitch, thank you as well for joining us and helping us through these questions.
My pleasure. Enjoy, everyone. I know that you love our product and I love our